What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Meh, a Pig and Meh here. As you can see right before you, I got a Lyrilusc deck profile for you. But unlike most of the other profiles you'll see on here, this one contains no tri-brigades. Why? Well, I kind of like these cards for whatever odd reason, and I decided I wanted to try a more pure build. So that's what I'm going to show you guys today, is my pure Lyrilusc deck profile. So quit with the BS and show you guys my deck profile. Alright, start this out with one of the new cards, your 3 copies of your Lyrilusc Barrel Canary. Barrel Canary here has the effect that when there's a Lyrilusc in your graveyard, you could special summon it from your hand and then special summon the targeted monster from your graveyard. It does not negate the effect, which is busted when you look at some of the other cards in this deck. And it also locks you into only being able to exceed summon from your extra deck. So, it doesn't matter, especially once you get to looking at the extra deck. It also has an effect that it gives the monster that uses it as a material 200 extra attack, which is really good for pumping up the new lady. So yeah, I max out on this card. Next up, the other new card. I'm playing 2 copies of the Celestial Wagtail. I only play 4 targets to add off of this thing's effect to add a spell or trap. And because of that, I didn't see the need to max out. You can max out if you don't like some of the tech. I'll show you a little later, but for the most part, I just found 2 to be about the right number. Next up, you're playing the triple sapphire, triple turquoise, and triple cobalt. This goes without saying, it's pure Lyrilusc, so you want to max out on all of the best ones. This one is absolutely insane because of its effect to both make your Exceed monster non-targetable by your opponent and to pretty much add anything you need. So this card's probably the best one. This card's real good too, just because when it's specialed from hand, it can special another card from your hand or graveyard, which is busted. And then this one is like your newer play enabler, because you just got to control one, you special her, she specials one from your hand, and you just go off to the races. And also her effect to attach from the graveyard gets propped even more, so you can make some really big birds. So yeah, pretty much almost max out on all of them because they're all great in this instance. Alright. Next up, 2 copies of Slower Swallow. Basically, if you control 2 monsters that are at the same level, you can special summon this from your hand. And it has a draw effect where during your draw phase, you could draw 2 cards instead of 1 at the cost of attributing this card. Surprisingly, you will do that quite a bit. And this card is super nice just because of the special effects, so I just run it at 2 though, because I decided to opt to run this little package. 2 copies of Kinkaboyo and 2 copies of Mystic Piper. Start out Kinkaboyo here. It's a level 1 beast, but it has the effect that on normal summon, you can target a level 1 monster in your graveyard, special summon it, banish it when it leaves the field the same time as this card, basically, because it's a spirit monster, it goes to your hand during the end phase. What's good is it doesn't negate the effect of the card. So you either summon Mystic Piper here, your Spell Searcher, or your Monster Searcher, and you can prop their effects. This card's really cool, and more often than not, you'll do a lot of your plays before you even use your normal summon, so this is a really good normal summon in that instance. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. But this is cuttable if you don't really like it or think you'll prop it too often, because there are some things I'm thinking of trying after showing you guys this build, but for now, I really like this card. Next up is the other card I wanted to toy around with. 2 copies of Mystic Piper. Mystic Piper here, as you can read, has the neat effect that you contribute himself to draw a card, reveal the card. If it's a level 1 monster, you get to draw another card. You play a boatload of level 1 monsters in your deck, including most of your hand trap choices. This card is nutty, and pretty decent normal summon overall. I really enjoy playing this card. Again, this is kind of a flex spot. This could be other things if you can't find this card. It only has 1 print. Alright, now onto the hand trap portion of the deck. Just the 1 copy of DD Crow because it's searchable. 2 copies of Drolan Lockbird because they're a level 1 that you can add off of your Mystic Pipers or another card you'll see later. And also they could stop a whole turn. 2 copies of Effect Veiler, it's a level 1. 1 copy of Impermanence. 1 Ash Blossom. And 1 Nibiru. You can figure out why these weird ratios, but we'll get there. Now on the spell cards, your 3 copy of Lyrilusc Bird Call. It's either a Reinforcing the Army or a Foolish Burial, and it can special summon one of the little bird bitches from your hand. This card is nuts, and absolutely gives the deck all sorts of potential and why you're seeing it prop up. I also opted to run one of the Bird Sanctuary. I like this card personally. I think it's a real solid thing. I always like to draw cards, and you can also use it to kind of boost up some of the cards in your extra deck to be extra insane. So yeah, this card's pretty good. And because you're only playing the 4 cards to search, that's why I'm only using 2 of the one lady. Next up, I opted for 2 copies of Where Art Thou? It's a Reinforcement of the Army that can search Effect Veiler. That's busted. And then, of course, the obligatory 1-for-1. And next, because hand traps kind of suck, I opt for the 3 Crossout Designator and the Called by the Grave. I have some gameplay footage I recorded for this, and these cards were essential in basically helping your bird bitches resolve. I highly recommend if you're going to play a pure variant that you do this, because Nibiru kind of sucks to get hit by, and you kind of need this. Same thing with this card. In the last 3 spots, I decided to opt for running 1 Foolish, 1 Monster Reborn, and an Instant Fusion. If you know the archetype, you know the why, but we'll get to that shortly. Just generic, decent stuff. All right, now the extra deck. 3 copies of the Recital Starling. You will go through 2 of these in 1 turn at the very least. 2 copies of Assembled Nightingale. It's just kind of an OTK enabler. You could run 1 if you wanted, but I wanted 2 for a grind game. Same thing with the 2 copies of the Assembled Robin. It's a great turn 1 play. Its effect to add 1 from your graveyard to your hand is a nice bonus. And yeah, this card is also really good. And then to round it out, 1 copy of Promenade Thrush. Yeah. Its main deck means to deal with back row. That's what she is. These new cards are really good because they just kind of give you a bit more control, so you don't just have to rely on trying to OTK or use this to make Zeus. And this card can randomly boost this to help the OTK happen faster, so that's real nice. So yeah. Next up, you play this nutty package because this is your best turn 1 and it stops a lot of people. Next up, you just play extra material for Divine Arsenal Double Azus. This card is also insane in this deck. It makes him super easy, and you could easily get away with playing 3. I just don't. 1 copy of the Relinquished Millenniumized Restrict guy. Depending on your hand route, this is good to deal with Veilers or Ash Blossoms in case those try to hit you. And then the last extra deck card, 1 copy of Independent Nightingale. This can help you in time with its burn effect. You can instant fusion if you have at least 2 to 3 means to revive this card back, which you pretty easily have. you can just keep burning them with this effect, which is super cool. So there you have it, folks. I'm not showing a side deck for this because, well, I might need to do some more changes if I decide to play it at a tournament, but there you go. Pure Lyrilusc. This deck is super fun, and I think everybody should give it a shot before you go about playing the tri-brigade one, which is infinitely better because you have a lot more play lines you can do, but even so, I really enjoy this deck. If you guys have any suggestions or improvements you would make sure to write them in the comment section down below. This is Meh, Pig and Meh, signing out.